I do that a lot. Hey everybody, welcome to the For Knit Sakes channel. My name is Allison and I am coming to you from El Paso, Texas, where I live with my husband Jonathan, my two sons Levi and Oliver, and our Boston Terrier Lucy. This is the third time I have recorded this podcast. The first time, the dogs behind us were barking their heads off and all you could hear was them barking in the video, so then I closed my windows. And then I got super tongue-tied the second time I recorded and I kept getting interrupted all the time by my 4-year-old. So now it's the third time, and I'm probably going to talk really fast because I am losing my window of time that I can get this done in before a certain 4-year-old is going to be requesting lunch. So, bear with me. This is episode 27, and it happens to be recorded on April the 27th of 2018. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much for stopping by. Like and subscribe if you like what you see. You are watching a podcast that is centered around knitting, crocheting, cross-stitch, sewing, any other crafts that happen to catch my fancy. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I know I am not the most organized podcaster or the most interesting podcaster, but thank you so much for coming back just the same. If you want to find me on social media, you can find me under 4 Knit Sakes, all one word, the number 4, not spelled out, on Instagram and Ravelry. And if you want to find the group that's associated to the podcast, you can either search in the groups tab on Ravelry for 4 Knit Sakes, or take a look in the description box and you'll find the link to go straight to the group. We do have a knit along going on. It is the 4 Knit Sakes Stash Bust Knit Along 2018. I'll put the hashtag that you can use on social media right here. And it is going until July the 1st. The only stipulation is that you have to knit a 50-gram or crochet. It's a make along, not a knit along, but now it's a little too late to change the hashtag. Sorry about that. It has to be at least 50 grams for your finished objects, and you can place it in the finished object thread. We are at 18 finished objects so far, and you have about 2 months left to get your needles moving and to get some projects off the needles, or even to start a new one and finish it before then. You have the chance to win this beautiful skein by Carrie of the Creative Obsession in the colorway Stardust. It is on her glitter sock base. It is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% gold stellina. So pretty. And I will be sewing a project bag to go along with this. So you get 2 things if you random number generator chooses your number. And I will be making a project bag similar to this, a smaller size, maybe a different pattern. Not quite sure. It's probably going to be a sock size to go with the sock yarn, even though you don't have to use it to make socks. I just like the way these bags look. I don't have to do any zippers, no buttons. Your yarn doesn't get snagged on anything. You can fold it under to make it into a bowl, or you can put it on your arm and knit straight from the bag. So a bag and a skein of yarn could be yours if you participate. So like I said, you have until July the 1st to finish something. It just has to be 50 grams. And use the hashtag on social media so I can see your projects there as well. In the thread, I'm usually just using the love button just to show that I've seen it. I don't want to comment because I don't want to skew the numbers for the random number generator to choose, but we'll see how that goes. We also have a giveaway this week thanks to Janine from the Yarning You Girl podcast. She so graciously gifted me her newest pattern release, which is that 70s tee, a very cute short sleeve fitted garment where the sleeves are striped and then the body is knit in a main color that you also use in the stripes on the sleeves. You can check it out on Ravelry. I'll link it in the show notes, as well as probably in the description box below if you would like to see it. If you want to enter to win your own copy of the pattern, just comment down below, and if you could, please put your Ravelry name, so then all I have to do is just tell Janine who to gift it to, and then she can send it to you the next time that I podcast. I'll announce the winner in episode 28, which will probably be in about 2 weeks, and I will let her know, and then you will have a pattern in your inbox. Hooray! Easy peasy, right? So the knit along and the giveaway are the 2 big things that are going on right now, and I will ask my 300 writing prompt question. I have to find it again because, like I said, this is the 3rd time I have recorded and I have lost it. Here it is. And it's because this month includes Earth Day and I'm big into recycling. So the question is, do you recycle? If so, what do you recycle? And if not, why? Or why not? So we definitely recycle in this house, and we recycle anything and everything that can possibly be recycled. Cardboard, plastic, we collect our glass to take to the collection center. It doesn't get picked up in the recycling bins. We have to drive it, prove that we live in the city, and drop it off in their bins that they have. So anything that is possibly recyclable, we recycle. I also try to use reusable shopping bags when I can, and we also try to use stainless steel straws at home. And I try not to use straws when we're out because I just learned that straws are not recyclable. I thought that they were because they're made from plastic, but they are not. And they are cluttering up the ocean and the land, and we only get one Earth, so we have to take care of it. So I hope you guys all recycle or try your best to do as much as possible to help out planet Earth. Trying to get into like the slow fashion movement to know where my clothes come from, making my own clothing, obviously with making sweaters and everything. I wish I was a little bit better at sewing though, because that would be really nice, but what can you do? So put your answer down below if you also recycle. I hope you guys do. I'm going to apologize for how erratic this podcast is because I forget what I've said the last 2 times, and I'm hoping I'm not going to repeat myself a whole bunch, but let's jump into finished objects, shall we? I only have one, and it is a crochet granny square blanket that I have made for Project Linus, and it is made of a bunch of yarn that I have collected up over the year, and I magic knot it, and I crochet it into the blanket until I run out of yarn, and I just got it to the 40-inch minimum that we're supposed to have for our blanket. So I am going to only show, I'll open it up all the way. So I just finished it. I followed the YouTube tutorial I think that Red Heart has. I don't remember. There's so many tutorials on how to do these that it's fairly easy to find. As soon as you understand the mechanics and the basics and the pattern in general, it's just going around and around and around until you're done with yarn. I still have to weave in the ends. This bright green is very bright to do the border, but I had enough that I could do all the way around the blanket to create a decent border since the rest of the blanket is so wild and random. But it's done, and I will take it to the next Project Linus meeting that I can attend, which will be in June. I can't go to the one in May because our knitting guild is having a knitting workshop with the Knitting Fairy here in El Paso. So I get to learn how to do intarsia and how to design my own top-down cardigan. It'll be fun. I'm excited to go. So hopefully I'll have a corner-to-corner crochet blanket to also donate in June. It just depends on how much I can sit down and crochet and work monogamously on a project to finish. I just usually choose knitting over crocheting, but I'm going to try to change that for next month. So that is my only finished object because I have been monogamously knitting on my Zweig sweater, which I'm going to wait to show last. And I've been trying to get a chunk done on this blanket that I have for my mother-in-law. I'm doing the checkerboard throw, which is a free pattern from Knit Picks. I changed the pattern because my yarn weight is different and my needle size is different. So I figured out by doing math and a swatch how wide I needed the blanket, how many stitches I had to cast on, so on and so forth. And I did. I am almost to my 5th ball of yarn, and I have this much. So it maybe covers like from the floor to my knees right now. I don't think I'm gonna need all 12 balls when it's all said and done, but I do have 12 if I need to use that amount. If I end up not needing them, I'll probably end up returning them to the store or exchanging them for a different color to use for a different project because this green is not my season. I've talked about that a lot. I got draped kind of like the color me beautiful. I don't remember what it was, but you get draped a season, and this is not spring, and I am a spring season. So, but it matches my mother-in-law's bedroom stuff. I just have to finish it. It's getting quite heavy, and I'm kind of worried about how heavy it's going to be when it's all said and done. And I'm glad I did a throw sized instead of like a bed size. It probably could fit on a twin size bed, but it would be very heavy if I had tried to do something bigger. The only thing I changed is technically every other panel of this is supposed to be seed stitch, but I just changed it just to do garter panels with stockinette panels. And it's going much faster than if I had done the seed stitch, because I would have had to think more. This is a project I don't really want to have to think when I work on it, because it's hard enough with these thick US 11 needles and the really thick yarn. It takes a lot of motion to get things going. It's not fast like knitting stockinette with fingering weight, but I'm hoping to have this done by maybe like the middle of summer. My goal is to do a ball of yarn once a week, done about almost 5 weeks worth, and then we'll see how much yarn I need. I'll do 6 balls of yarn and see how long it is, and then if it's a little less than halfway, then I don't have to worry about knitting all 12, right? We're going to switch to the next smallest project, which is quite small compared to the blanket, and that is my sport weight vanilla socks that I use that I work on when I'm at doctor's appointments or the playground. And this is some Lana Grossa self-patterning yarn that I have already knit a pair of socks, and I gifted them to my cousin Amy. I just have to put the heel in. These are done on US size 2 needles, started with 10 stitches on each needle for Judy's Magic Cast On, increased every other row until 24, so 48 stitches total, and knit until I ran out of yarn. I had 50 grams total left, so 25 got me 82 rows or so, and then I'm using some Knit Picks Galileo, which is a wool and bamboo blend, very soft, very stretchy, and I'm doing the cuff and the heel. If the heel ends up getting holes in it, afterthought heels are the easiest to replace, so then I'll just rip it out and knit it in something else. But I usually just wear my socks at home, so they're not in shoes all day long. So we'll just see how long it lasts. It'll be a good little experiment. So I finished one, and then I have about maybe half of the foot done on the second one. So easy peasy knitting. It's fun, and it is being housed in my Nomadic Yarns bag with Boston Terriers. It's called a sock cube, and it's best to hold the gobstopper balls for self-striping yarn, but it also fits if you're just doing a small set of socks. The needles are the hardest part to fit in, so that's the one complaint I do have about this bag. It fits very well, but I've had a lot of needles poke through the fabric while using it, and it closes. It's just the needles are like poking out right here. My only complaint, whenever I actually cast on with a gobstopper ball, which will be probably like in the next 2 pairs or so for vanilla socks, then I'll see how well it works for that. Because I like the bag, just the needles are awkward to fit in, especially if I'm carrying around my extra sock. Okay, one more work in progress before I get to my Zweig. This is a new cast on since the last time I talked to you guys, and it is a brioche cowl that I cast on for my husband, and it is just knit in some Serenity sock yarn, just that you can buy from a big box store like Joann or Michael's, and this is supposed to be navy, but I feel that it is charcoal gray. So it works out really well because the Noro yarn that I'm using is very wild. Most Noro yarn it self-stripes. It's pretty large stripe repeats, and it is a single ply fingering weight yarn. And it's kind of it has some thick and thin sections, and you can see that in the cowl that I'm knitting. I'm using US size 5s, and I just know how to brioche, so I just cast on an amount of stitches that I knew would work for a nice drapey cowl on US 5 needles. And I knit around, purled around, then did the brioche setup, and then just started brioching. So on the right side, I have the gray or navy that the ball band calls it, and then on the wrong side, I have the Noro. So I'm just gonna flip this out carefully so I don't lose any stitches. And this is just a project that I work on when I'm at baseball practice. I kind of figured it'd be difficult to make a mistake since it just has a really good rhythm to it, but I did make a noticeable mistake to me, but my husband said he didn't notice unless I pointed it out to him, and now that I'm looking for it, I can't find it. I was able to fix it. I think all I did was I dropped a yarn over a few rows back, and now I can't find it. And then I dropped down a bit to see if I could fix it. And then I kind of fixed it. It's just less noticeable. Of course, now I can't find it. So maybe it definitely is noticeable when I actually find it. And now I can't find it. There it is. So you can kind of see there's like a hole. It's not very noticeable. So I fixed it well enough. Where is it? There it is. And it's gonna be in the middle of the cowl because I'm gonna make it very long so it scrunches. I'm basically just gonna knit until I run out of yarn. And it's gonna be really nice and soft when it's done. I forget which Noro this is. I don't have the ball band, but it is on the project page. I'm very good about putting my stash in Ravelry so I can keep track of what yarns I use for which projects, how much yarn I've knit in the year. Just such a geek thing to do, but it's really, I think it's cool to keep track. But it's fun. It's interesting enough because I try to finish a color each time I sit down. So when I'm done with this bright red, there's like kind of more of a burgundy underneath it, or maybe it's like an orange. So I try to get all of the bright color done to get to the next color. So it keeps me motivated, because I know it can get quite boring just doing the same stitches over again, just barking and burping until it's done. So this is just another on-the-go project that I try to save for baseball practice, which I signed up the kids thinking it was 2 days a week, and that's what it started as, and then they added in another practice. I was like, I didn't sign up for 3 days a week. I signed up for 2 days a week, and that's a lot for the kids to stay up late on school nights before to get baseball done. But it is what it is. I at least have something to work on, right? So brioche, not just a brioche cowl, not doing the bandana cowl. My last work in progress is my Zweig sweater. I hadn't cast it on because the knit along with Woolberry Fiber Company started on the 14th of April. So this is all I have done in about 2 weeks. I've gotten all of the body done and almost a sleeve. And the 2 yarns I am using are Knit Picks Hawthorne in the colorway Goddess. I'm trying to find the cake, which I think I'm gonna have a full skein of yarn left over, because I have this much left and I only have 1 sleeve plus the ribbing on the sleeve that I'm working on now. This is a lot. I can make some socks, I guess. And then I'm also using a one-of-a-kind skein from Carrie from the Creative Obsession. This is what I have left. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it, but I'm excited. I think there's maybe like 30 grams left, maybe more. And it's just a one-of-a-kind skein that she had gifted me when I did the Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted on Instagram. But oh my gosh, you guys, I love this sweater. And I am so bummed I'm not gonna be able to wear it when I'm done with it. Today is our last cool day, and right now I'm actually even pretty hot in my shrug right now. I'm just wearing short sleeves underneath it. And it's gonna start being 80s and 90s again starting tomorrow. Maybe I can just find reason just to wear it to the bus stop first thing in the morning when it's, you know, it's still 65 degrees. It's not cold. 65 degrees is not cold. That is comfortable. But you guys, it is so pretty. It's showing up brighter on camera. I'm wondering, this is a better representation of the color instead of me holding it up. It gets blown out, but like, look at that purple. I am a little bummed I did not alternate skeins on the sleeve because it's just so small and I'm magic looping. I didn't want to, so I'm getting a slight like micro, like you see like these little diagonal stripings, and I just joined a new skein somewhere around here, so now it's different. But I did alternate skeins on the body, so I feel like that turned out fairly well. And I knit the body a little short because I know from my swatch that's up here that the yarn grows a lot when you block it. So I'm hoping I can probably get another inch out of length when I block it. I'm just gonna yank it, and I'm not a pinner when it comes to blocking, I block on a yoga mat usually. I'm not fancy by any means. I just stretch and pull and place. I only pin if it's something that I really want to be shown. But I am almost done with this sleeve. I'm just marking every 10 rows because I split for the sleeves pretty much as soon as I was done with this row. I did, one row in the dark purple, the goddess colorway, and then I split for the sleeves. So I'm just counting every 10 rows so the sleeves are equal. I did not want to do 2 at a time sleeves. Excuse me, my voice is cracking. I sound like a teenager. I didn't want to do them 2 at a time because I felt like I would be fiddling. It is kind of awkward when you have a full sweater to turn and you're messing with yarn. So I just decided to do them 1 at a time, and I am altering the sleeves a little bit. I'm not going to do quite as long as the ribbing that's called for in the pattern. I'm probably going to do maybe half of that, and I'm decreasing gradually after I got to my elbow. So it's not super baggy and then teeny tiny ribbing, because you decrease a lot in one round and then the cuff is smaller, which I think I'm gonna like how it fits better. I haven't done it before, so it's my first sweater that I am doing something like that. But I think I'm gonna like how it's going to be tighter, because I feel like the cuffs stretch out fairly easily because I'm always pushing them up. So we'll see, but I'm really excited, and I'm excited to block it just to have the lace block out a little bit. And I've already tried it on and it fits really well. I did go down a needle size from the pattern, and I did go down a bust size. So I should have knit the 43, I think, but I knit the 40, and my bust size is a 41. But because I tend to be a loose knitter, I feel like I need to start going down needle sizes from a lot of patterns, because my gauge is usually a lot bigger than what the pattern calls for. Like this swatch up here ended up being like 21 stitches instead of 24. So, and that was with the size 5. So I went down to the 4 and knitting the smaller size. Plus I didn't want the drape here to be super boxy. And I think I decreased a few stitches, maybe like 12 stitches total over 10 to 15 rows right here, just so it would be slightly slimmer in the waist. But I didn't do any hip shaping. So the shaping was just to decrease the body a smidge, and then the rest of it's pretty boxy. So the next time I speak to you guys, which will probably be in about 2 weeks, it will be done, and I'll probably have my next sweater cast on, which I'm planning to do the Pavement sweater by Vera Valimaki. And I am struggling on what needle size to use and what bust size, because you're supposed to do it with like 5 inches of positive ease, but I've spoken in the previous episodes that my bust to my waist is a 6-inch difference. So if I were to knit a larger bust size, say like a 43 inch, and I don't think there's any waist shaping, 43 inches to 35 is 8 inches of positive ease. I don't think I want that much positive ease in my waist, so I think I'm gonna knit in a smaller needle size and see how it goes. I don't know, you guys. I stress way too much about which size to knit, because it's always kind of in the middle. It goes from, I think there's a 39. No, that's the flax. I get all the sizes mixed up. I think there's a 40 and a 43. No, that's for this one. I'm gonna stop talking now because I'm sure you guys are like, Allison, move on. But I really do love this pattern. I'm not sure if I'll knit another one because I want to knit new patterns. I don't want to knit the same pattern over and over again unless I really absolutely love how it fits. But it's really, I enjoyed the color work. I enjoyed the lace. It was a challenge to get through all of that, but like a good challenge. Like I challenged myself to finish it. But then I got to this and I was like, oh, now I have to knit and knit and knit and knit and knit. So it was hard to keep motivated to do this. And then, but I got a lot of it done watching Superstore. I just started binge watching all the old seasons on Hulu. So I've been doing a lot of knitting watching that and then waiting for somebody to sit on the potty. I won't mention names. It's my kids. It's like not my husband or anything. Awkward. But yeah, I'm really excited to get it done, but I'm going to be really sad that I can't wear it. but that's okay. I'll just cast on something else. I'll just have some really awesome sweaters when it gets cold again in November. Oh, I have to wait such a long time. That's like 6 months, you guys. I'm sorry for the people that are getting snow and you're like, gosh, Allison, please stop talking because, you know, we're still getting snow. I'm like, but I think I'd rather have snow than 90-degree weather in the beginning of April. Oh well. Okay, so Zweig by Caitlin Hunter. If you haven't casted it on, or cast it is not a word, then I highly suggest you do so. And this is living in my Kicks and Giggles. It's kind of like a Japanese knot bag, but they used this for here. My sister bought me this bag like back in 2013. I don't even know if the Etsy seller is still around, but you can find similar bags on Etsy very easily, or make your own. They're not that difficult. I haven't tried to make a Japanese knot bag though, so don't quote me on that. 2 weeks I'll be like, I tried to make this bag and I royally screwed it up. So that's all of my works in progress. This is going to be a fairly short episode, and I'm glad to keep it that way. And I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about some shawls that I want to knit, because I don't want to knit on just garments all summer and socks. So I want to knit the Girl in the Grocery Store shawl by Joji Locatelli, and I've wanted to knit it before, but I never quite had the yarn that I would want to see in the finished product. And then I was just kind of pairing some stuff through my stash, and I found, I still have my Heart of Glass sweater yarn up here. I decided to put this down at the bottom when I get to it. So I'm keeping it out to keep me motivated, because after my pavement sweater, that's being on the needles. Whew, who else planned super far in advance? But I was going through my yarn and I found these two that paired really well. The Blue Topaz Knit Pick Stroll pairs perfectly with the turquoise teal. Carrie's gonna yell at me through her monitor because she told me the difference and I don't remember. I'm sorry, Carrie. It's gonna pair perfectly with this Yarn Cafe Creations in her fluffy sock base. This is chocolate orange, I believe. Yes. And I got this in the Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted by an Instagram follower who lives in Canada. And it's so pretty. I can't wait to see what it looks like knit up. So this is gonna be the main color of the shawl, and this is gonna be the feather and fan part on the bottom. I had originally bought this to make socks because I'm trying to do a patterned sock every month, and you can't do patterned socks when you have really busy yarn like this with lots of different colors, because then you lose the pattern or the texture. But I think this works out perfectly. I'm not sure when I'm going to cast it on, because I also have a DK weight shawl planned, and that is the River shawl. I don't remember the person, but I'll put the information down at the bottom like I always do. And I have one skein of this silky wool in light purple that I had used for my Morning Mist tee for the lace pattern in the back. So I have 50 grams of this. And then I also have this coordinating yellow that I think would make a really fun spring colored shawl. But I mean, I wear these colors all the time. Like I said, I was draped to spring, so these colors look best with my skin tone, which is why you guys see a lot of pastels. My particular season, I frequently joke that I look like an Easter egg, because that's pretty much all the colors we get. I'll have to show my fan next time I podcast so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Or you can go look into 12 Blueprints personal color analysis if you want to do any research. I can maybe put like a link in the description box. It's kind of, I'm like a nerd when it comes to color, or a geek when it comes to color, because I find it so interesting, because there are colors that make me look absolutely terrible, and these colors make my complexion look really clear, my eyes really clear. And so this is going to be the River shawl. So both of these shawls are just very standard, side to side, asymmetrical on the bias. Garter stitch, so nothing super complicated, be easy to work on, and I like something that can keep my interest, so the striping for both of the shawls will help keep me motivated. I think I have somebody coming to interrupt me. 1 second. It's past lunchtime, since this is the 3rd time I'm doing this. So those are just some shawls that I'm working on, or that I'm planning in my head and I have in my queue to work on. What's up, buddy? I knew you were coming. Okay, trying one more time. Life with a 4-year-old, always needing some help, and that's okay. So those are just some shawls that I have planned, and then as well as I'm going to participate in the Fancy Feet knit along that Legacy Fiber Arts is hosting. I'm going to do the Cookie A socks with some self-striping yarn, but I'm going to do them toe up instead of cuff down. Toe up just seems to be my go-to. I like to be able to try it on, and then I can mark where my afterthought heel goes, and I don't have to interrupt my knitting doing a heel, and then I just do it at the end. Like, it's my thing that I love to do right now, and it works for me. I know it doesn't work for everybody, but I'm pretty sure that is all of the knitting and crafty content that I have for this week. If you were just here to see my knitting content and just to see what I've been working on, then you're more than welcome to go on about your day, and I will see you the next time. Again, if you want to enter the giveaway, then just comment down below, and I'll pick a name the next time that I podcast. And if you have any FOs to go into the knit along, don't forget to head on over to the group and put them in the FO thread so you can be entered to win the skein of yarn and a bag to go with it. And if you want to hang out and just see what's going on with our life, I don't have a whole lot to share, then you're more than welcome to hang out with me for another couple minutes. I won't rabble on too much about what's going on, and I will see you guys next time if you're headed out. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you again soon. Life has been not really busy. It's busy on certain days. And we've been busy with baseball, and I had my appointments yesterday and the day before for my foot to get looked at, and I went to my appointment yesterday and they didn't have everything that I need, so I have to get more stuff done. I have to get an MRI done on my foot because the ultrasound didn't show anything. The x-ray shows that my foot looks normal, but they need to see if there's those two things don't show soft tissue, which is what my potential issue is on my foot. I think I mentioned last time it's called a neuroma. It's just like your nerve doesn't have a lot of room to move, so then the tissues around it get hard, and which is what's causing me pain, but they can't proceed with treatment until they're absolutely sure that's what it is. So I have to call and schedule an MRI, and that's probably going to take a month, and then another month to get it back in to see podiatry. So until then, I deal with it the best way I know how, with a smile on my face and pain medication and stuff like that. So, but that's not super interesting. Levi smashed his thumb at baseball last week, so he was good for a day or two, and then we went to change the bandage, and I was like, we probably should have a second opinion for people to look at this. We're not doctors. Not even close. So we went to the ER, and he just needed some antibiotics. He didn't break his thumb, but his nail is going to fall off eventually, and a 7-year-old's probably going to freak out pretty bad when that actually happens. So, but it's going to take a really long time for it to happen. We're just, keeping an eye on it, and I bandage it up when he goes to school. Jonathan did not get any of the School of Music jobs that he applied for. They said he was one of the youngest as far as years in the Army that applied, and they were looking, I guess, for people with more than 10 years in. So that's kind of one thing that they factored in when they chose the people that did get the jobs. And so we're still here in El Paso, but he gets his options for where we move next starting this summer. Doesn't mean we'll move this summer, but he'll at least have an idea of where we'll be going and when. He's eligible to move as early as October, but I don't think they're going to move us that early. But if they do, we just roll with it. That's just kind of how the military treats it. You do what they say, sort of thing, and you move on. And we'll just see. There's only 19 places we can go to, so our choices are fairly limited, and it's just depending on what band needs a percussionist that's an E6. So we'll just see what happens, and you guys will know. I'll share it on the podcast, and if we end up moving, I'll have to figure out a way to keep things going. And we're fairly boring otherwise, and I say that pretty much every podcast. All I do is I sit and knit, and I potty train my kid, which we're still working on, and he's pretty much got it. So hopefully we're over that hump fairly soon. There is a lot of editing that's going to happen on this podcast. I keep getting interrupted. I'm going to be done soon though. But I wish this was a less erratic episode. I always wish that. If I'm still podcasting by next year, Oliver's going to be in preschool. Oh, and I forgot, we registered our 4-year-old for preschool next year. I feel like they're growing really fast, and he'll be in half days, so I will have chunks of time during the day that if I'm not doing anything else, I will have peace and quiet to podcast, which sounds amazing right now after being interrupted so many times in the last, I've been trying to do this, I think, for about 2 hours now. And, but it'll be a big change. Hopefully we won't move in the middle of the year, because then the possibility of him getting in a preschool at our new place might be difficult. Just based on my knowledge of when I was working in preschool, was attached to our school, it was pretty much full and there was a waiting list almost all the time. We'll see. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work, but that way far down the line, but I tend to worry about things super far in advance when I shouldn't. And I know other people do the same. So we're trying to plan some trips for the summer. My husband wants to go see DCI in San Antonio, and that is Drum Corps International. He used to march when he was in his early 20s. And we have some family that lives in San Antonio. We want to go check out Austin. I want to go to Albuquerque at some point. Our 10-year anniversary is in August, and I have to try to think of something to get for my husband. I do have an idea for a cross-stitch of some Avett Brothers lyrics that he really loves to listen to. And it's for the song Murder in the City. If you don't know it, you can Google it and listen to it on Amazon Prime, or YouTube, I'm sure, has a video or something similar that you can listen to. It's a really sweet song. Brandy Carlisle also did a cover of it as well, and that's on Amazon Prime that you can listen to. So 10 years. I can't believe we've been together for 10 years, and he's almost hit 10 years in the Army, and that just kind of flew by, and our kids are growing up, and at the end of every day, I wonder if I've enjoyed enough or been in the moment enough. It's really difficult, and you know, social media makes you feel super guilty for, you know, wanting alone time and stuff like that. And you have to cherish every moment and XYZ, but you know, it's tough day in and day out. Those of you that have older kids, I'm sure you remember, and those of you that have kids now definitely know what I'm talking about, or at least last interruption, I promise, but I do need to go feed a 4-year-old, and I need to feed myself, so I'm going to have to cut it here, and I hope you guys don't mind. This episode was such a mess, or at least in my opinion, it was such a mess. You guys might not see it as a mess because I'll edit it the way I need to, and I hope to see you guys next time. Like and subscribe to help get the video out there for more people to view. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. I love you guys, and thank you for stopping by. Bye.